to the Experience Darden podcast. I'm your host, Brett Twitty, and you are listening to a new episode. On this episode of the podcast, I'm excited to share my recent conversation with Deborah Agoye. Deborah is a first-year student in our full-time MBA class of 2027, and she and I recently connected to talk more about her background, her decision to pursue an MBA, what led her to Darden, what she's enjoyed about her Darden experience, and so much more. I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. And as always, if this conversation is helpful for you, please like this episode and subscribe to the Experience Darden podcast so you never miss an update. And remember, you can always check the episode description for links to Darden blogs, social channels, and more. Now, without further ado, here's my conversation with Deborah Agoye. Deborah, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's great to talk with you. How's everything going? How are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, transparently, I am quite tired this morning, but I'm also really excited. So tired because we're like wrapping up the last bit of like finals and projects before we're done for the semester. But then I'm also really excited because I'm heading out for a trip in 2 days. So a lot's happening between now and then, but it's a good time.
How does it feel to be at the end of your first year?
Yeah, it's like, quite frankly, it's kinda crazy to think how fast things have gone and how we're, like, 50% done with the program. Many people say that this program is very transformative, and I agree, and I feel like so much has happened, so many memories have been made, and it's just quite crazy to think this time last year, I was not a part of this program, and now I'm already, 50% done. So, it's exciting to be done with, the first half, and I'm looking forward to the second half.
I can imagine. It's an exciting point, particularly when you reflect back on a year ago. You were just preparing to get started with
Exactly.
your MBA program, and now here you are, 50% of the way there. Tell us a little bit more about your background. Who are you? What you do before coming to Darden?
Yeah, no, of course. So I'm originally from Chicago, so Chi-Town represent. I've been in Illinois all my life, and so this is kind of the first time I'm in a very different environment. I went to University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign for undergrad, which funny enough, same blue and orange colors as UVA and Darden, so it kind of feels like a similar taste of home. My pre-MBA life, I was working as a digital strategy consulting, so a lot of what I was doing was working with clients to think about how can we optimize their tech platforms and make things more efficient or think about how technology can really enhance their operations.
And how long had you thought about an MBA?
Yeah, so I think my MBA journey has started actually since 2022 and I matriculated in 25. So a good 3-year journey. Funny enough, I never really thought about getting an MBA. Once I left undergrad, I was one of those people who were like, I'm just never going to school again. And it's through a random coffee chat where I was speaking to someone who worked at my former company and I wanted to transition over to product management because that was a booming field back in that day, back in 2022. And I saw he was working at Apple. So I reached out. And during our conversation, he raved about his MBA experience. And he talked a lot about how it's benefited him and how it has helped his career trajectory. And so I left there and I sat with it a little bit and I ended up realizing that I did want to transition from, more technical consulting to more business strategy and ultimately knowing that I love business, innovation, entrepreneurship and just being able to think strategically that led me to starting the MBA application journey.
How'd you figure out when was the right time? Because you mentioned you started thinking about it, 2022. So a few years had gone by. How did you figure out now is the right time for me to go back to school?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So I was actually going to apply in 2024. So I was going to be a part of the class of 2026, but I decided to hold back a year because unfortunately I had experienced a series of layoffs and then I started at a new company and I figured that I wanted to just give myself more time to experience that new firm. And then by the year following, I realized that, especially with certain things that were happening in my company, and how they were struggling through different like financial things, that I really wanted to go get my MBA at that moment because I think there's so many things that are changing within industry and there's so many things that are important to know in order to make sure that a business is running smoothly. And so I figured that this no better time to do it. Plus, there's just been a lot of changes within the MBA environment, and I'm not getting any younger, so figured I might as well go while I still have energy.
And I'm curious what resonated with you about Darden in particular.
Yeah, I think there are a variety of things. I mean, I will say that a lot of people, when they're thinking about their MBA decision, they often choose it for the career outcomes and the transition. And I mean, Darden has number one career outcomes. And so it's an amazing school in that respect. But I really looked at it thinking about starting backwards and where do I ideally see Deborah? Where do I see myself in the future and where I want to be? Ultimately, I want to be an entrepreneur, whether it's within my own company or within an already existing company. And I know I want to invest in underserved founders and entrepreneurs. And so I really wanted to think about in the short term, like, what are the skills that I need in order to get there? And, there's the over talk about AI and how that's changing things. And I fundamentally believe that having soft skills are so important. And so I wanted to go to a school where I felt like I was going to really enhance my communication. I was going to leave feeling really confident. And ultimately, I was going to feel challenged. And so that I can really take on whatever I want to do in the future. And I figured that I really wanted to do that within a collaborative environment, a close knit environment, a community based environment. So that's ultimately what led me to Darden. And then also, I don't know, I've always been a little bit of a nerd, and I used to watch all of the TV shows that were focused in on the Socratic method, and I didn't know what it was called at that point, but I knew I wanted like a really engaging, enriching classroom environment, which I imagined undergrad to be, but it wasn't necessarily exactly like that. And so what really drew me to Darden was the faculty and the engaging classroom. And I mean, it has been truly a really enriching program. And then superficially, I mean, again, I'm from Chicago. I was trying to escape the winters. I don't think winter should be a thing, hot take. And so I really wanted to go somewhere warm, and I'm a little vain, and I wanted a beautiful campus. And so all of those things combined is ultimately what led me to Darden, a place where I felt like I was really going to grow and get the skills that I wanted for my career.
Did you have an opportunity to visit Charlottesville while you were doing your research?
Yeah. So funny story. I went to Darden Days, and actually, truthfully, at that point, I didn't think I was going to commit to Darden. I actually was leaning towards another school. But after Darden Days, that decision flipped like 180. I think Darden Days was really a great opportunity to really interact with the students and just see how much like the university really cares. They like it was really, really such a great experience. And then also I came in April, so it was a good time. It was great weather. The campus was really beautiful. And so ultimately all of those things really won my heart that weekend.
Yeah, Charlottesville in April is a special place.
It's a special place. It's a great place. That's the time you want to be there for sure.
And so you come to Darden, you're a brand new first year student. What was that adjustment like? Obviously, a lot on your plate as you navigate the first year of business school.
Yeah, no. So like, I mean, transparently, it was a bit of an adjustment. And I think no matter where you go for your MBA program, it's going to be a bit of an adjustment. It's going to be difficult. You're working for 5, 6, however many years, and now you're going to a classroom environment. Also, this was my first time on the East Coast, never been outside of Illinois. And Darden, it's like prides itself for being quite a rigorous program. And so that first semester, as you're trying to balance everything from the classroom environment to recruiting to social to personal hobbies to just everything. It's overwhelming. What I'm really, really grateful for Darden is the resources that are available towards supporting the students. In particular, Christy Julian, she's the chief community and connection officer. And I mean, I feel like truly for all she does, I don't even know if she's paid enough because she's just such a great person to really speak to as you're navigating this environment. And I don't say this lightly, but I think out of all the people I've spoken to in my entire life, she's one of the most effective person. And so I think through those resources, as well as the fact that everyone's kind of just going through the same experience, no matter what school you go to. But I think, particularly at Darden as well, it really gives you an opportunity to just lean on your peers and each other as you're just navigating this unique environment.
Yeah, Christy is amazing. Also, one of the funniest people I know.
Really, really funny.
Yeah, hilarious. She has been doing a lot of admitted student programming with us as part of Darden Days, and it's been fun to see her get involved and engage them in these debates as around like what is a sandwich and what is not a sandwich, and see how people have these like strong feelings about these things. And it's a funny way to sort of see how people can work together and maybe broker some compromise.
Yeah, that's funny. What is a sandwich? Who knows at this point?
Yeah,
No.
she has a whole slide and it's a definition thing, and it's amazing to see. There's some people who's real hard line, kind of fundamentalist, and other people who are much more liberal, and see them engage and talk about something. And obviously, this is a metaphor here for what you're going to do,
Right.
what you're going to do in class. What section were you?
I was Section E, Section E, and I mean, we're all gonna come on here and say we have the best section. But Section E, the electric eels, it was very much a very interesting, energizing time being in section. And it's funny, kind of the contrast now that we're no longer in core. But that was my section. Go eels.
We've had a few Section E people on here recently. I feel like y'all are well represented in different club organization leadership as you move into your second year. What do you think was so special about Section E?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, besides the fact that we're such an exciting bunch. No, I mean, I think what's really special about Section E, at least I know like stereotypes kind of change across the years, but we kind of have a hodgepodge of different people and different personalities. And I think, at least for my core experience, I mean, we had a few characters, sure, but it was pretty much a very supportive, like, it was a really a very interesting environment. Like, it was, you had a lot of people who weren't necessarily combative, as I've heard, maybe in some other sections as they're getting through, like, really heated, interesting debates or arguments within, like, core. But I think for us, we were constantly, clapping people on, clapping each other on, or we had, like, really weird, interesting champagne bets. And for those of you who don't know who champagne like, what champagne bets are, um, they're just random challenges, that people do in order to raise money for, like, social events for the club. And so we've done things like one guy, like, started wearing a bunch of hats, and he got people from other sections during that classroom to put hats on him, and it was like the like leaning tower of hats of pizza, you know what I mean? Like, it was just random, where we've had people who hid behind like a whiteboard to scare our professors. It's just a lot of random things and unseriousness that happens throughout the classroom. And I think that lightheartedness is probably what allows our section to really shine. Also, I just want to shout out the fact that we did win Section Cup this year. So, I mean, we're winners. What can we say?
Yeah, the Darden Cup Championship has been noted more than once here on the podcast by Section E members.
What can we
Uh,
say?
Point of pride for sure. So obviously, gone through the section experience, the completed core curriculum, you've taken a few electives at this point. How did you figure out what electives you wanted to take here at the end of your first year?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I thought about it in the sense of, like, a couple of things. I mean, one, what are going to be the things that are going to prepare me for my summer internship? I wanted to take things like supply chain management as well as valuations, because I wanted to get some of those skills to prepare me for that. And then two, I figured that you just have a lot of the energy, like, still in Q4 compared to maybe second year where senioritis is going to creep in a little bit. And so, unlike perhaps most people who probably took 3 to 4 classes, I ended up taking 5 classes. And please, pray for me for this valuations final coming up tomorrow. But I took 5 classes, because I figured that I can still wake up to do my 8 a.m.s while I'm writing the momentum of core, and while I still have energy. And so ultimately, that's kind of what dictated my schedule as well as the electives that I ended up taking.
And I'm curious, how are you going to be spending your summer here?
Yeah, so I'm going to um, be in Bentonville, Arkansas. So I'm going to be interning at Walmart for their finance and strategy leadership development program. Before that, I'm actually going to be traveling for a little solo trip to Peru and Colombia, which are both of the locations that a bunch of people at Darden went to for spring break. But I ended up just kicking it back in Charlottesville here, which was actually a really peaceful time. But I'm going to be going there to have a really mindful, magical May. And then I'm going to go back home to Chicago to spend time with friends and family before I do the road trip from Charlottesville to Bentonville, which is about 16, 18 hours. And so ultimately, I'm going to be interning at Walmart, and I can speak a little bit about that. But I'm super excited for the next month, especially once I wrap up finals.
Yeah, I'm curious about how your career goals may have evolved over your first year because I was listening to your pre-Darden experience, right? Your digital strategist, that sort of thing, and you expressed an interest in product management, and obviously going to work for Walmart this summer. How did your career goals evolve? How did you decide, what you were interested in?
Yeah, no, for sure. So I will say that throughout my MBA experience, I wouldn't necessarily say the career goals have evolved. I had a pretty clear understanding of what my long term goal is and what I wanted to do. And for my short term, I was really flexible. I thought about consulting as well as some other like career paths, but ultimately I knew that I wanted to work at a company where I would be focused on retail operations, strategy, and finance, and where I'd be working at an innovative firm that really mentored and supported their interns employee. And so it's kind of crazy because again, I've been calling it manifesting May, manifesting magical memories actually in May. And it's kind of crazy to think that everything that I wanted is actually what I got for this summer. And so the Walmart Finance LDP program is really focused on that finance and strategy. And that obviously Walmart's like the number one physical retailer. And ultimately, it's kind of, I'm just so grateful for being able to have this opportunity. And I do owe it to Darden because Walmart came on campus and they actually gave a tour here at their Sam's Club, and I was able to partake in that and just learn so much about the company, and it really invigorated a passion, and I knew that I wanted to apply for it, so I'm glad I got that.
That's cool that you got to go on a tour of Sam's Club. I didn't know that was part of the company pitch process. What did you learn on that tour?
I didn't know either. I mean, I learned so much. It's funny. It was me and one other guy, and we were just asking so many questions. I was like, I hope they don't get annoyed. I mean, one thing that we learned was like Walmart has a thriving advertising business. And I didn't really think about that before. And they recently made an acquisition of Vizio, which is like the television like brand or television product, and a part of that was in order to help with that advertising speed of things. And so that was really interesting. Also, I utilize Walmart a lot since I've been here, more than Amazon because Amazon is a little slower for my taste. I'm just spoiled because Chicago same day shipping. And so I'm grateful for Walmart, but we visited Sam's Club. And I think I didn't realize like how the business models changed that much and just how different they are, and thinking about the differences in terms of the types of like customers they attract and how do you create and you modify the store layout in order to get customers to perhaps like see certain items. Another thing too is just thinking about how Walmart is using AI. And so they're very AI focused. Actually, part of like why I was able to get the internship is because I wasn't afraid to shy away from the fact that AI is really cool and a tool that should be learned more about. And so they're doing like a lot of really cool things. And I can go on and on about Walmart actually. But those were some of the things that I learned during the tour. And they're also into fashion, and they're growing that fashion business, which is what I love and what I like.
All right, so you got an exciting summer plan. It's incredible. All the things that you mentioned. You get to go to Peru, Colombia, spend some time back home, Bentonville, Arkansas, for your internship. As you look forward to your second year, what are you looking forward to doing? Any clubs or organizations you're involved with? I know that's part of this a significant part of the second year experience. The students move into leadership roles.
Yeah, no, for sure. So there are a variety of things. Excited for leadership roles, which I'll come back to. I'm also excited for a lot of the global experience opportunities. And so I'm going to be going to Rwanda for my DWC, which is the Darden Worldwide course. And that's gonna happen in October, so really excited for that. I haven't really traveled across Africa, despite the fact that I'm Nigerian. I've only really been to Nigeria and Morocco, and so I think this is gonna be super cool, and a lot of the exec MBAs who went earlier this year, they raved about it, and some mentioned that it was the best experience of their life, so I'm really, really excited for that. I'm also excited to partake in the Board Fellows program. And so there's an opportunity to sit on a local nonprofit board and really shadow them and do a meaningful project for them. So I'm paired with the Charlottesville Business Innovation Council, which is amazing because, again, I came here because I wanted to explore innovation and entrepreneurship. And I love getting tapped into that community, especially having had worked at Tom Tom Festival the past, like at the end of April. And so I'm really excited for those, as well as some of the classes that I'll be taking with some of my professors I've had in the past. Now, in terms of club leadership, I'm also excited for that for a variety of reasons. I mean, I think you're able to really take what you've been learning in the classroom and really apply it in a way that really helps aid your experience here. So, in terms of like the clubs that I'm going to be a part of and leading, I'm going to be the president of BBSA, or the Black Business Student Association. I'm also going to be co-leading with Ashley Allen, our Marvel comic book writer, celebrity out here. We're going to be co-leading the Darden Disability Alliance. And then I'm also VP of Finance for the Darden Wellness Initiative. And so going back to thinking about how I envisioned my MBA experience and what I wrote in my applications and my essays about what I wanted to get out of it, I knew I wanted to contribute meaningfully to those types of clubs, being as that I really want to support, especially at a time like this, underrepresented minorities who want to really experience the MBA program and really thrive here. And I wanted to enhance disability accessibility advocacy here, as well as really help students when it comes to wellness and resilience. And so I'm excited for all of those clubs because it really gives me the opportunity to give back and really build upon the work that the second years have done, which I'm really grateful for. It's also great visibility and exposure to Darden as a whole, as well as the staff here and administration, and you get to learn so much. But then also from a personal development point of view, there are a lot of skills and things that I wanted to get out of this experience, as I mentioned before, in terms of being able to inspire people, influence people, manage people, etc. And when you're leading a club where people have to volunteer their time and they're not paid to do it, it really changes the game. And I think you just learn so much, especially in an environment like Darden. And so between that and wanting to leave a legacy based off of the vision that I see for those clubs, I'm really excited for the opportunity to help give back through those leadership positions.
So you're going to have a very busy second year based upon all of that.
Oh, so it sounds, so it sounds. And a big part of me is like, why did I sign up for all of this? And I mean, it goes back to trying to learn how to lean on other people and not do everything by yourself, but then also thinking about like, what's the MVP, minimum viable product that you want to have for this club? I think a lot of us have a lot of like great visions and plans, but ultimately you might not be able to do everything. And it's important to learn how to not burn yourself out. And that's one of the biggest lessons that I'm trying to learn here. How do I take a minimal approach, which I have not been doing successfully, but how do I take a minimal approach? How do I be mindful and really maximize the experience for everyone?
You mentioned that you spent some time volunteering for the Tom Tom Festival. Do you want to tell folks what the Tom Tom Festival is?
Yeah, of course. So the Tom Tom Festival is a 4-day festival here in Charlottesville, and it like features a variety of things based in innovation, arts, etc. And there was a civic summit, so we had like different conversations regarding politics and nonprofits and what does it mean to be a civic leader within Charlottesville. There was also an innovation summit which was really cool. And we actually had three Darden students who pitched during the Tom Tom Festival, which was really exciting to go watch and support. And then there's also like this really cool block party. And so there's like fire show performances, there's salsa dancing, there's drag shows, there's a variety of things. There's also a Porchella. So people open up their porches and people play music throughout the weekend. And so it's a really fun time. And I mean, thank you for asking because truthfully, Tom Tom Festival was a really, really exciting experience for me that I plan to write more about. But it was really probably one of the biggest highlights of my Darden experience. And when I think about those students who are coming in to Darden this year and the following, definitely take advantage of all of the opportunities and events that are going outside of Darden. I think a lot of us like to stay in within our Darden bubble, but there's so many cool things that are happening outside of Darden and within the greater UVA. Like I've had the chance to go to TEDx conversations, and there's been a lot of like cool guest speakers that have been brought into, and the Contemplative Science Center. And so there's just so many cool things but I really loved Tom Tom Festival, and words can't really describe the experience as well as just the different types of people that I've been able to meet through there. And so it's been really a great opportunity. And I encourage everyone to go next year.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's one of these things that maybe as a prospective student you don't know a lot about, but it is certainly a big event in Charlottesville. You also mentioned you'd be president of BBSA. What would you want folks to know about BBSA as an organization, and maybe some of your plans for the year to come, some things that you have on your mind? Just curious about that.
Yeah, for sure. So when I think about BBSA and the goal and the vision that we have for it, I think ultimately we want to show, especially for a lot of Black students as well as allies who are thinking about MBA, that Darden is still like a good place to really grow as an individual, but it can also be um, like it can be a fun environment. I think sometimes Darden gets the rap, and I mean, I'm not saying that there isn't some truth into it, but that it can be very academic and very rigorous. And why would you want to spend 2 years in an environment like that? But I think for Black students who are considering an MBA, I think there's so much value to the experience. And I want to make sure that in the things that we do, the events that we have, and how we market ourselves, that other people from the outside are able to see that. I also will say, I mean, unfortunately, there has been a lot of changes within um, just Darden, UVA, even schools across the United States that have impacted how affinity groups have operated. And I think there's really a call to be really creative with how we support students, especially prospective students during this time, since Darden, unfortunately, is no longer a part of some of the key pipelines that used to bring in a lot of underrepresented minorities. And so thinking about how can we support those students is a big initiative there. But then also, what I want to see is just partnerships across Darden as a whole. So this past year, we've done a lot of great events and community events with kind of more BBSA people, but thinking about how can we partner with like the Darden Outdoor Club more, or GWIB, which is the Graduate Women in Business, and really just make sure that everyone within Darden can really be immersed within the great culture that we have here.
Well, Deborah, thank you so much for answering my questions. I have one more question for you. What's a piece of advice you would share with our prospective student listeners as they think about their own MBA journeys?
Yeah. So when I think about a parting advice and perspective advice, I think what serves, at least what has served me so well, is having a clear understanding of what it is that you want from the MBA experience and who are you as an individual. So, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And what are you hoping to achieve? Or how do you want to fill in the gaps via this MBA? I think that clarity is so important because what you'll find, and not just through the MBA application process, but even when you arrive on like at an MBA program, is that a lot of people are doing a lot of things just to do it because it sounds good. Maybe people are going to schools that sound good on paper, but they're not going to be the right environment for you. I think being able to have that clarity is really, really, really important, and being able to ask the right questions. So speak a lot to current students, speak a lot to alums, continuously network. And I think those are some things that will serve you well. But then also realize that this is a journey. Be mindful of the expectations that you have. I think sometimes because of like the amount of work that she put in through this process. I mean, for me, it was like 3 years before I started the MBA program. You can build up a lot of expectations, a lot of things about what this program might be or what it might not be. But I think being able to let loose of that and come in with an open mind is really important. And just being mindful again and really intentional and recognizing that things will change, but have some type of idea of where you want to go in the future. And that will serve you well.
Well, Deborah, thank you so much for your time this morning. It was great chatting with you. It sounds like you have an incredible summer ahead. So good luck on your exams as you wrap up here, and best of luck with your internship at
Thank
Walmart.
you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great day.
And that was my conversation with Deborah Agoye, a first year student in our full time MBA class of 2027. As always, if you have any comments, suggestions, requests, anything like us to cover here on the podcast, we're all ears. We can be reached at Darden, that's DARDEN, at virginia.edu. Till next time, stay safe, be well, and thanks for listening.